Please, sir.
Yes.
Please, can we get a combined document concerning all the topics?
Oh, yeah, sure. We can share the topics. The yeah. Okay. So I'll share with Madam Rebecca.
Okay, okay. So
Hello,
that
sir.
it will help us. So the
Hello, sir.
combined document, it will help us.
Hello, sir. No,
Doctor,
Yes.
do we have some trial questions for us?
Oh, I shared with you some tutorial questions. I thought
Okay.
I shared with you some tutorial questions.
Colleagues,
Oh,
please, do you have some?
yeah, please, we don't have.
No,
how
no,
come?
no.
No, Madam Becky posted it on the page. Oh.
Yeah, it's true. They are there.
Yes,
They are there.
it is on the page.
Yes, yes, sir. They are there.
Okay.
Yes,
Hello,
please.
Doc.
Real questions.
Yes.
Please, so
You
it means that
Even Emily posted it. So
Okay.
Emily
Yeah,
posted.
we have it. We have it.
Yes.
It
okay,
is available.
Yeah, yeah.
okay, Doc. So it means the end of semester there, it will include everything.
Yes. It will cover everything.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so it's only the combined document that we will now be waiting for. Mm.
The combined document just features only the topics, so it's okay. Uh, as There are 8 topics in all. We did 8 topics. Okay, so we'll do that. I'll forward it to Madam Becky so
Thank
that
you.
yes. Mhm. Okay, so let's look at the plant issue and wrap up. So
This one, I beg
usually
before I start.
can we mute a bit so that so the plants are multicellular organisms like human, and one of the things that we have to understand is that pay attention to is the fact that the cells also undergo some specialization, which we call the differentiation. Okay, so plant cells or plant tissues also demonstrate cellular specialization. So first is I want you to know the organization of the plant. So plants is an organism, and just like every organism, it is made up of various organ systems. So the plants have organs, and the organs are also made up of different tissues, and the different tissues are also made up of different cells. Then we can also talk about the fact that the tissue is made up of, as I said, made up of a number of cells, a group of cells, which hey, who is
Georgina, Madam Georgina, please mute yourself.
yeah, Georgina, if okay, so as a tissues have a particular function, but it is as a result of several cells which are present in this tissue. Okay, so these are what I've said. So the plant is made up of different organs. So I want us to look at the organs of the plant. So the organs in a plant, we can talk about the root, stem, and leaves. The root, stem, and leaves. And most of the plants that are around us are vascular. They are vascular plants because they have systems that will conduct water and food within them. So the when we look at the roots, stems, and leaves, um, they all complement one another. For example, if you look at the stems and the leaves, the stem and leaves would absorb water and minerals. Sorry, they will absorb carbon dioxide and light, and which is above the ground surface, and use it to utilize. They will use it to synthesize their food, and the food can reach all parts of the plant. Whereas the roots are supposed to absorb moisture from the soil and transport it to the plant, the stems and leaves for them to also be able to use. So the root, stems, and leaves have been organized into two systems. So there we have two systems. We have the shoot system and the root system. So we have the shoot system and the root system. And the shoot system comprises of the parts of the plant that lies above the soil. And we have the root system to be the part of the plant that lies in the soil. Now, the part of the plant that lies in the soil are the roots. And we have the shoot, the stems and the leaves. So you have the stem, then you have the leaves lying above the soil. So one thing is we have to acknowledge the fact that these plants, most of what we are centered on is the vascular plants. They they rely completely on both systems for survival. So, for example, the roots are not able to synthesize their own food. They don't synthesize their own food, so they usually require the food from the leaves. So the food are synthesized in the leaves, which is part of the shoot system, and it transported to the roots. Also, we can also talk about the fact that the shoot system also will have to depend, it requires water and minerals that the root will absorb from the ground in order to be able to synthesize their food. So having said about the various organs, let's look at the various tissues which are present. So plants have, there are basically three tissues which are present in most plants. So we have what you call the dermal tissue, we have the vascular tissue, then we have the ground tissue. So the dermal tissue is usually the outer layer, is the outer layer of the tissue, whereas the vascular tissue is for transport of substances, food, water, and mineral source. Then the rest of the tissue, which do not form part of the dermal and vascular, they constitute the ground tissue. So they are the bulk of the inner layer. And one point is that the dermal, vascular, and the ground tissue in various parts of the organs of the plant are continuous with one another. So the one that those which are present in the root is continuous with that of the stem, and that is also continuous with that of the leaves. So we look at the various tissue. For a start, we look at the various tissue. So we have the dermal tissue, which I've indicated that is a covering of the plant. And usually the dermal tissue forms the first line of defense. It is the first line of defense. So it is equipped so that substances will not just, microbes will not just have access to the inner aspect of the tissue. So that is what happens. So it forms the first line of defense against physical damage and also pathogens. In plants may be, in these vascular plants, we may have, some will have woody wall, others will have non-woody wall. But in those which are, let's say that non-woody, the dermal tissue is actually made up of the epidermis. So it is the epidermis that makes up the dermal tissue. But plants which are like the woody plants, they have an extra layer they have an extra tissue which is forming the dermal tissue. So in the woody plants, they have a protective tissue. The dermal tissue is what you call the periderm. The periderm replaces the epidermis in the older regions of the stems and the roots. So in woody plants, you notice that they become hard. The outer covering becomes harder, and this harder, that is a periderm, and that periderm replaces the epidermis, which should be found in all plants.
Sir,
Yes,
is that what we call the back of the tree?
exactly. So
Okay.
the back of a tree is the periderm. Then when we come to leaves and most stems, we can have the epidermis actually having an external surface, which is the cuticle. It has an external coating. Usually it is a waxy coating. It's a cuticle that is also present alongside with the epidermis. And the purpose of this is to help prevent water loss. So the dermal tissue has this function of protecting the plant from physical damage and also pathogens. It is synonymous to the epidermis, the epithelium of the skin. You know, we humans, mammals, for example, we humans have the epidermis as the outermost layer of the skin, and it also protects the underlying tissue from these assaults and also pathogens. The epidermis may vary in various organs. So the epidermis in the plant, in the stem, the root, and the leaves will also vary. Now we have some in some plants we have some even modifications. So, for example, um, in the so in roots, for example, in the extension, the epidermal cells have an extension, especially as you get to the tip of the root, it gives out some hairs. So we have what you call the root hairs, which are extensions of the epidermal cell near the tips of the root. And this increases the surface area for absorption, for water and nutrient absorption. Then we even have instances where some plants on their shoot system, they will also have hair-like growths on their shoot system, the epidermis. And they serve several purposes. So for example, if you go to the desert, the trichromes, because of their hair, they are hair-like, and therefore their surface area is relatively reduced. In desert areas, the plants will be losing water, and when they have the trichomes, the hair-like outgrowths of the shoot, they tend to lose less amount of water. So in some desert species, the trichomes will reduce water loss, and they can also reflect excess light. But one thing is that they also have another function, which is to provide defense against insects. So some will form they form barrier, or sometimes they can even secrete sticky fluids or toxic compounds. Okay, so these are some of the modifications of the epidermis. So root hairs and trichomes are actually structures which are modifications of the epidermis. Then we will talk about the vascular tissue. So they are transporting materials between the root and the shoot. And in the vascular tissue, we have two main types. We have the xylem and the phlegm. So xylem conveys water and dissolved minerals from the roots upward the plant so that it can reach the shoot system. So the stems and the leaves will receive the water and the it shall receive water and the dissolved minerals. Then we have phlegm. Phlegm is also a vascular tissue, but they are transporting food. That is, they transport organic nutrients from where they are made. Mostly it is made in the leaves. Then they are transported to the shoot and also the root. Now, regarding the vascular tissue, there
Professor,
is yes.
please, the two of them, do you have local name for them?
Do we have
Local name, like the
local?
island. Ah,
This is also
No,
one
sir,
of the
don't talk. Sir, there's no talk. Do an kasa show guru mkasa.
yeah. These are some of the things that we say that we should also develop our local dialects. So, for example, if we can get names for this, I'm sure we can teach all these in our local dialects. But I don't know of any local name for that. There we have there is a collective term for the vascular tissue when it comes to the stem and the root, and we use a term steel. We use a term steel for them. Okay. Okay. So there is a term for the vascular tissue in the stem and the roots, which we call the steel. And one thing is that the arrangement of the steel, the vascular tissue, differs in tissues, in species, and also in organs. So I'm going to use some plants which are specialized in forming seeds. So these are usually the flowering plants, the angiosperms. So if we look at the angiosperms, for example, the vascular tissue is more of a solid central vascular cylinder. So that is this is the vascular tissue. So it's at the center. So at the center, and it appears like a cylinder, which is occurring at the center. But when you come to the shoot, the stem, then the vascular cylinder, the vascular tissue, which is supposed to be a cylinder, is now divided into various bundles. So you have strands of xylem and phlegm. And also, when you come to the leaves, you see that they don't occur as one. You even have one in the center, then others would be occurring away from the center. So this vascular tissue, one point is that they have different arrangement in the species and also the organs. You may want to find out how they are different in the gymnosperms. Gymnosperms don't form seeds. Okay, but you can find out how they are not flowering plants, but we can also find out how these occur in the gymnosperms. Then we comment on the ground tissue. So we have ground tissue these are tissues that are neither dermal or vascular. So and we have a term for the ground tissue, which are, for example, if you come into the stem, in the stem, I've said that the vascular tissue is reorganized into bundles, strands of xylem and phlegm occurring together. And in the ground tissue in the stem, a ground tissue that is internal to the vascular tissue, we call it the pith. And the ground tissue that is external to the vascular tissue, we call it the cortex. So we have the pith and the cortex. And the ground tissue may include various cells which are specialized for storage, photosynthesis, and also support tissue. Please, any clarification that you want us to make?
So, sir, that does it go to mean that the phloem and then the
Xylem.
xylem tissues form the vascular bundles?
Yes,
Okay,
the
okay, all right,
phloem and the xylem form the vascular bundle.
okay.
Okay, so now having talked about the tissues in the plant, let us go on to look at the cells, the different kind of cells which are present in this tissue. So plants are multicellular organisms, and they also undergo the differentiation. If you remember the first lecture, talked about the differentiation, and this has to do with the expression of the different genes. They all have the same genome, but just that in specific cells, depending on the function, then there will be a particular set of genes that will be turned on and off, so that those genes will be active and some genes will be inactive, and these will bring about the cellular differentiation. So the major types of plant cells that we have those that we consider as parenchymal cells. We have others that we consider as collenchyma. Then we have also sclerenchyma cells. Then we have the water conducting cells of the xylem and the sugar conducting cells of the phloem. So the phloem and the xylem are tissues, but they are made up of a number of cells. So the major cell types in the plant, if I let me mention them again: parenchyma cells, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. Then within the xylem tissue and the phloem tissue, we can talk about the water conducting cells and also the sugar conducting cells of the phloem. So we look at the parenchyma cells, and on this picture, I've shown you there are some cells which are shaped like rectangle. They are parenchyma cells. The other green structures are just additional structures. So parenchyma cells, they have the cell wall, but their cell walls are relatively thin and flexible. So they have thin and flexible primary walls. You don't see any form of thickening in their cell wall compared to the other cell types. So they don't have the thickness. So like they also lack secondary walls. And these cells are the least specialized, and their major function is to perform the metabolic functions of the plant. So most of the metabolic functions that we can ever learn of the plant is being performed by these parenchyma cells. The parenchyma cells are always dividing, and they have also the ability to differentiate and give rise to the other cell types. So most of the parenchyma cells, they retain the ability to divide and differentiate into other cell types under particular conditions. So, for example, maybe sometimes how plants are among the organs, among the living organisms that are subjected to a lot of assault. Like let's say because of farming, let's say, or you have a plant in your backyard. Sometimes, like a typical example is let's say the pawpaw. Once in a time, some people may have pawpaw growing at an unwanted place, and you may want to cut. You cut it, and now some of the cells have been has gone off. Now it is the plant has to regrow. The regrowth has to do with developing new cells. The cells will have to divide and generate the remainder of the stem. Some will also become the leaves and the stalk. All these are made up of a number of stems. So it's the parenchyma cells which will actually undergo cell division and divide. They undergo cell division. They are dividing, and later when these cells will now differentiate to give rise to the lost cells of the plant. And even in regeneration, it is reported that it is even possible to be able to grow an entire plant from a single parenchyma cells if you supply it with the necessary nutrients and other resources that it will need. The parenchyma cells can even generate into a whole plant. Then we have another plant, which is another cell type, which we call the collenchyma cells. So the collenchyma cells, they are actually grouped into strands, like here. And their purpose is to help support young parts of the plant shoot. So some parts of the plant are relatively young. They just grew and they need also support. Their walls to need support. So they are there to provide that strength. Okay. Now the cells are usually elongated. They have like a cylindrical. If you look at the walls are relatively thicker. So they have relatively thicker walls if you compare them with the parenchyma cells. And the cell walls are unevenly thickened. So you look at their cell wall, and some parts may be thickened. All these parts are not thickened as like this region. So like this other one, you see that their walls are not that thickened. So there is I think I made a mistake. Instead of cell wall, I wrote core walls. Sorry, I'll correct it. Yeah, so the cell walls are unevenly taken. So the key point is that the collenchyma cells are for plants which are not they are not matured. So they are the young parts of the plant shoot. So you have the collenchyma cells present to be able to strengthen them. So and they are located just below the epidermis. So like for example, young stems and also petioles often have strands of collenchyma cells just below their epidermis. And the purpose is that whilst they are performing, they are providing the support, they are not supposed to restrain the growth. They are not supposed to restrain the other parts of the plant from growing thicker. So, and therefore, they don't have to be thickened. Okay. Now, at maturity, the collenchyma cells, they are living and flexible, and they elongate with the stems and leaves that they support, so that they can reach all the various parts of the plant. Then we have sclerenchyma cells, which are they are also supporting elements in the plant. So you notice that the parenchyma cells play an important role. Okay, but the sclerenchyma cells and the collenchyma cells are for supportive function. But the sclerenchyma cells are more rigid than the collenchyma cells. And if you look at their walls, this is their cell wall. Their cell walls are relatively thicker. So they have more rigid cell wall. They have a thickened cell wall compared to the collenchyma cells. And they are more rigid than the collenchyma cells. And they are thickened. Their walls are thickened by the
Hello,
presence of lignin.
hello, doctor.
Yes.
Please. So does the collenchyma cells contain secondary wall?
No. So
But they are thickened. Their walls
they are
are
not.
thickened.
They are thickened, but compared to the parenchyma, and even with the thickening, it's not uniform.
Okay.
But the sclerenchyma cells have another wall which is impregnated with the lignin, and lignin is a major support to this sclerenchyma. The secondary support that that the sclerenchyma cells offer in the plant is attributed to lignin. Okay, and the lignin is actually is an indigestible, and it's a strengthener, and it is a polymer, and that accounts for more than a quarter of the dry mass of wood. So what we see as wood has a lot, relatively large proportion of lignin in them. There are one thing about the sclerenchyma cells is that when they are matured, they cannot elongate, unlike the collenchyma cells, which are able to elongate as the plant is also growing. And the lignin is absent in bryophyte. If you remember mosses don't have lignin. Okay. The sclerenchyma cells also occur in regions of the plant that have stopped growing in length, so that they can offer a major support. Okay. And they are so specialized for support that usually by the time the plant is matured, most are dead. So they serve as so that they can provide the support, and their rigid wall will serve as a skeleton that will support the plant for as long as, even sometimes, hundreds of years. That tells us sclerenchyma cells are very, very important to plants, especially the support. Okay. There are two types of cells which are present in there are two types of sclerenchyma cells. So we have what we call the sclerites and the fibers. The sclerites and the fibers. So the sclerites are they have this kind of a box shape. So they are boxier than the fibers. So we have the fibers, and they are also, their shape is relatively irregular, and they have relatively thicker lignified and secondary walls. So they have more of the lignin. A typical function of sclerites in plants is the hardness that we find in the nut shells. And sometimes you have a coat, seed coat, and gritty texture to pear fruit. So the walls, the hardened nature of these plant parts are attributed to the sclerites. Then we have fibers. Fibers are usually grouped into strands, like here. So you have them, they are occurring in the strands, and they are long, they are slender, and also they are tapered. And these fibers are very, very important, and they are used commercially for making rope and sometimes linen. If you watch there's production lines, there are places that, like for example, the plantain stem has a lot of fibers, and in some industries, they actually extract the fibers and use it for preparing these woolen carpets and linen. Okay, and this people have taken advantage of these parts of the plant part in order to generate a lot of fibers. Okay, so that is the sclerenchyma cells. The fiber cells, the fibers in the which is sclerenchyma cell, are very, very useful to developing these things for us to use. Next is to look at the xylem tissue, and we comment on the water conducting cells of the xylem. There are two types of water conducting cells. and we have the tracheids and the vessel elements. So we have tracheids and the vessel elements. Okay. So tracheids are found in the xylem of all vascular plants. And one thing about these tissues are that they are dead. By the time they become matured, functional maturity, they are dead cells, and they only help in transporting these substances. So, but whilst tracheids are present, are found in the xylem of all vascular cells, plants. When it comes to it cannot be said, the same cannot be said for the vessel elements, because the vessel elements are present in most angiosperms, also some few gymnosperms, and also have a few seedless vascular plants. So you have the vessel elements a little bit limited when it comes to their representation. The secondary walls of the tracheids and vessel elements are often interrupted by pits. So you have, for example, this represents the xylem. So you have the tracheids and also the vessel elements, and you notice it as in their wall, there are some perforations which we call the pits. And because of the pits, it allows for water to move from one vessel element to another vessel element. The water is able to move laterally. When we also talk about the tracheids, they can also move laterally. The Similar to the sclerenchymal cells, the xylem, the cells of the xylem cells, they have their walls thickened with lignin. And the hardening in the walls, the lignin in the walls prevents the collapse under tensions of water transport, and also it also provides a form of support. So as it is conducting water is moving up and down. You find the walls need to be stronger, so that the water can also have a form of attraction. If you remember the adhesive forces and the cohesive forces, water also has an attraction between there'll be force of attraction between the walls of the xylem and also water. But with the presence of the lignin will prevent those kind of forces from pulling the vessels inward, so that it can bring about collapse. So that's the purpose of the lignin in the walls of the xylem. So tracheids should indicate that they are relatively longer. Tracheids are longer. They are long, and they look thin, and their ends are tapering. So let's look at I'll comment on the vessel elements. So vessel elements are generally wider. So they are wider, they are shorter. If you look at their walls, they are thinner, and they are less tapered compared to the tracheids. And one thing is that it is like having several tubes which is stacked end to end. So they are aligned end to end, so that they can form long micropipes that call the vessels, and hence their names. And one thing about these vessel elements is that at their ends, like if you look at their ends, it's like there is a sieve. There is a sieve that is found from between any adjoining vessel elements. We call them the perforation plates. So you find the perforation plates, and so the walls, the end walls of the vessel elements, they have these plates, and they enable water to flow freely through the vessels. So similar to, and also similar to the tracheids, the secondary walls of the vessel elements are also lignified. They are also lignified, and for the same reason, they will prevent collapse of the walls, okay, under the tensions of the water transport, and they also provide support. But so the tracheids don't have the perforation walls, vessel elements have the perforation walls. Then we can look at the sugar conducting cells of the phlegm. With the sugar conducting cells of the phlegm, they are even alive at functional maturity, unlike the xylem cells. The xylem cells are dead at functional maturity. And we can talk about a number of cells. So we have what you call the sieve cells. So we have, sorry for the break. So we have with the sugar conducting cells of the phlegm, like if you look at some many vascular plants, we have long narrow cells which we call the sieve cells, and also angiosperms, which are the flowering plant. You have the phlegm is organized into tubes. So and so those are the sieve tubes, and they consist of chain of cells which we call the sieve tube elements. The sieve tubes, so like here in this picture, we have the sieve tube elements, and these sieve tube elements, they lack nucleus. The cells who lack nucleus, they lack ribosomes, and they just they lack the distinct vacuole and cytoskeletal elements. And so it is like a conduit, and these conduits will serve as they enable the passage of nutrients to so that they can move through easily. Then we have the end plates, the end walls of these sieve tubes. They are covered by the sieve plates, and the plates have also pores in them that will facilitate the flow of fluid from one cell to cell along the sieve tubes. Sieve tubes also are accompanied by another cell, a non-conducting cell called the companion cells. So we have companion cells which are occurring alongside the sieve tubes. And they are connected to the sieve tube element by channels called the plasmodesmata. So you have the sieve tubes, and you have the companion cell. The companion cell lies side by side to the sieve tube, and they have a nucleus, and they are linked to the sieve tube elements via a channel, numerous channels called the plasmodesmata. And one thing is that in some plants, the companion cells even go on to perform additional function, that by helping load sugars into the sieve tube elements, so that the sieve tube elements can transport the sugars to other parts of the plant. So when you look at the conducting cells of the phlegm, we can talk about the sieve tube elements, then we have the companion cells. So these are the cells of the plant, the plant which are present mostly in the vascular plants. So the parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, the cells of the xylem, and also the cells of the phlegm. Now these cells are in a way, apart from the parenchyma, which sometimes it can be dicey. These cells are actually non-dividing cells. They are more like non-meristematic cells. But this also brings us to another way of classifying the cells in the plant. Another group of cells, that's the meristems. Meristems are interesting cells in the plant. And what they do is that they generate cells for primary and secondary growth. So one thing is that plants grow throughout their life, and this is what we call the indeterminate growth. So they continue to grow throughout their life, unlike we humans, where growth has a ceiling. So we undergo the determinate growth. And the growth is not restricted. There are some plant organs which actually cease to grow at a certain age. And that is what we call the determinate growth, as I explained earlier. Now, meristems are embryonic tissue, and they allow for indeterminate growth. So if the plant has to grow forever, it is a meristem that is accountable for that. There are a number of meristems, different types of meristems, but these are based on the location on the plant. So, for example, we have apical meristems. They are located at the tips of the roots and also the shoots, and also the axillary buds of the shoot. So you have the tips of the root, the tips of the shoot, and also at the shoot we have the axillary buds, and they make up the apical meristem. So they are found at the apex. So there is the apical meristems. The primary growth is actually for the lengthening of the plant. So if the plant has to grow taller, there is the apical meristems that will have to undergo cell division and generate cells that will be added to the plant, and that is what is going to manifest as a primary growth, which is the plant growing taller. Then we also have what called, yes.
Please, the apical meristem, you made mention of the axillary bud. Which part of the axillary bud can we find the apical meristem? Is it at the tip of the axillary bud or the whole axillary bud?
So the axillary bud contains that. It contains the apical meristem.
The whole of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Then we have the lateral meristem. So they allow for the plants to grow in thickness. So they also undergo various cell division. Then they will add cells, but these cells are going to increase the girth of the plant. So they are responsible for the secondary growth, and they add thickness to woody plants. Please, a moment. Okay, sorry for the break. So the lateral meristems they are dividing so that they can generate cells and add it to the thickness. So they contribute to the thickness of the plant. And we have the two meristems. We have the types of lateral meristems. We have the vascular cambium and the cork cambium. So the vascular cambium they add layers of vascular tissue. Okay, so they will be adding the extra xylem and phlegm, and often this extra vascular tissue they make up the wood they make up the wood of the woody plants. So the vascular cambium will be adding layers of vascular tissue, and we call them the secondary xylem and the secondary phloem. Then the cork cambium replaces the epidermis with the periderm, which is thicker and also tougher, as I early on talked about when I was talking about the dermal tissue. So the cork cambium, the meristems are dividing so that the meristems which make up the cork cambium will divide and replace the epidermis with the periderm. So these are there's an illustration of the location of the meristem. So you have the meristems in the axillary bud, meristems in the tip, meristems at the root tips, and they are the apical meristems. So they are going to help in the primary growth. That is the things, the plant growing taller. Then we have those which are found in the shoot. We have the lateral meristems, and the lateral meristems, we have the vascular cambium, which is inner, and we have the cork cambium, which is outer. So the vascular cambium is going to add the secondary xylem and secondary phloem, secondary vascular tissue, so that the plant is going to increase in girth. Then we have the cork cambium, which is going to replace the epidermis with the periderm.
So,
Yes.
So can we say that the vascular cambium and the cork cambium are likely to form the growth rings?
The growth ring of yes. So
Okay.
there are instances where when they cut wood, they check the number of rings, right? So you'll see various cylinders. So as they are adding, especially the vascular cambium, as it is adding, then it will be adding the vascular tissue, the secondary xylem and the phloem, and they are responsible for the growth rings of the plant, of the woody plants. And thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you, sir.
So as you indicated, so they lay them, then they will be bringing about, they will lay them in succession, so there will be several rings. Okay. The meristems, they give rise to a number of cells, which actually, so we have what we call initials, and they are stem cells. So usually for every cell, when the cell is supposed to regenerate, it's responsible for regeneration. One thing is that it has to preserve the stemness, so that every time there is a cell that is responsible for that activity, then another cell will be committed into forming the parts of the matured plant. So meristems will usually divide to give rise to initials and derivatives. So the initials are what we call the stem cells, and they will remain meristematic. So they remain as meristem. So they will stay there, so that every time they will be dividing and to be able to derive the other parts of the cells. Then we have the derivatives, which are after the division. Those are the cells that are committed to forming the different parts of the plants. Okay. So having talked about, I brought about the secondary and primary growth. So I'll make a comment about woody plants. So in woody plants, we have primary growth and secondary growth occur simultaneously, but we have a different location. Okay, that is something that I would add. but I want to add an information. We also have another kind of meristems, which we call the intercalary meristems. We have another meristem, the intercalary meristems, and they are responsible, they facilitate the growth. They facilitate the growth of the leaves. So I want to add that so that yeah. So we have intercalary meristem. I think it escaped me. So I would want to add it. That is, so we have three types of meristem. So just a jiffy. So these are the intercalary meristem. They also facilitate the growth of leaves and branches, and they are located at the base of the nodes, and also the internodes, and also leaf bases. So that we at least we should know. So when it comes to the primary growth, we are looking at the apical meristem. When we come to the secondary growth, we are interested in the lateral meristem. Then we also have to know that the branches and the leaves will have to also grow. Okay, then the intercalary meristems would account for that. Okay, so these are the various the cells and also the tissues which are present in the plants. The plants, they don't have many tissues, and I think we didn't cover much because there are also other courses, other biology courses where you will be tackling various parts of the plant. But for the time being, we drew attention to the different cells, like the organs, which is the root, the stem, and the leaves, the tissues in the plant, the dermal tissue, the vascular tissue, and the ground tissue. Then went on to tell you about the different cells which are present in a plant. So generally we have the parenchymal cells, which are for metabolic functions. Then we have the sclerenchyma, parenchyma cells, which parenchyma and sclerenchyma are for support. Just that when it comes to the young parts of the plant, you find more of parenchyma. And when it comes to the matured parts, then you find the sclerenchyma cells. Then I mentioned the different types of sclerenchyma cells. We have the sclerites, and the fibers. Okay. Then went on to talk about the water conducting cells of the xylem. So we have the sieve tubes and the sieve elements. So we have the vessel element and the tracheids. Then we went on to talk about the phloem cells, which are responsible for the conducting the organic nutrients. So you have the sieve tubes, the sieve cells, then also the companion cells. And companion cells being connected to the sieve tubes by the plasmodesmata. Then went on to talk about the meristems, three types of meristems. So, but before that, I talked about the indeterminate growth and the determinate growth. So indeterminate growth, there's a kind of growth where the plant is growing throughout the life, and for those which cease at a certain time, we call that growth determinate growth. Then talked about the meristems, which are the embryonic tissue in a plant. They are always growing. We have three types: the apical, the lateral, then we have the intercalary meristem. And one thing is that during the division, they give rise to initials and the derivatives. So the initials will be the stem cell, then the derivatives are going to develop into the matured tissues. Okay, so this brings us to the end of the lecture. The plant tissues is not plenty, okay, unlike the other the cells. So I will pause here, and if there is any question, you can ask the question.
So could we be asked to draw the structure of the flowering plant and label the parts?
No, because it is outside the scope of this course. We cannot ask you to do that.
Okay.
We cannot.
Okay.
So we are interested in the cells. So you see, this is a cell and tissue organization. So you ask about the cells, their function. Yes. Please, I'm listening.
Hello, Doc. Since today is our last meeting, we would like to know the nature of how the questions will be set, both the quiz 1, the quiz 2, and then the end of semester exams, how it will be.
Oh, okay. So the quiz 1 is the quiz 1 and quiz 2 are MCQs. So it's MCQ. So we give a question, then we give you option to choose. So that is
Okay.
your nature of the quiz 1 and quiz 2. Okay. Then the exam, there will be, just like I said, the tutorial questions that you received. So you have some.
Hello.
Is it our end or the first end?
I think the Doc's network is off. Yeah.
Please, sorry, I went off.
All right, sir.
I went off. So yes, please, we're asking some questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please, you are on the nature of the end of semester exam.
Okay, so the nature of the end of semester exam. So I said that for it will be MCQs, then there'll be short. Oh, sorry, I have a problem with sharing the screen. So there will be short answers. Then also there will be essay type of questions.
All right.
Please,
So please, yeah, it's clear, but I would like to add another question.
Okay.
This one we humbly plea.
I know what's
If,
different. So when
if we can have the topics that you set the end of semester around, or it will be from clean to can cry.
Yeah, let me borrow your word from clean to can cry.
So for this one, hey. Wow.
So I'll borrow your word. Yeah, clean to can cry. But one thing is that what we usually do is that most
Again.
Network.
I swear.
Today's meeting. Then we have to go to church.
Maybe here now. I was say, oh, explain the chain. We grew up no network.
Charlie, Asamo.
Hello, colleagues. Please, I beg if anyone is having the self-teaching organization past questions, you put it on our platform, please. If anyone is having it, the Pasco.
Seriously, we haven't even set eyes on any of the past questions on sales and issues. Maybe any of these have been.
Oh, sister.
A lot of you don't get the meeting on time. All these questions you are Doc have shared it with us before we even started the class, and so it look as if they don't join the class on time.
True.
But then all the time you draw
that we can be looking
all these things before we start.
No, Mr. Gideon, the issue is some of us have network challenge and those stuff. So it's not intentional that you don't want to join the class on time.
Have you realized that all the time the lecturers they rather come and then wait for us? Have you seen that thing?
Yeah, I know that.
Every time they come and wait for us. In a can you say car and train passenger and a train car, but all the time we rather wait for the lecturers to come before we come. Meanwhile, they are also using the network. You see, when you are on the meeting and the network issues arise, we all see it. But most of the times you realize that the lecturers will come, they will be waiting for us for as long as 30 minutes. And then we will be at home doing our own thing. Then when we come, we see that all these questions will be cropping up. Don't forget that all these things have been shared. He has been giving us the areas that he's going to set questions on when it comes to the quiz.
Yeah, it's true. What you are saying there is true, pa.
So I would
the lecturer will be
you try and join the meeting on time. This one I'm reading. This one is not a
Mr. Gideon. I know he said about where he's going to set the quiz 1 up to the quiz 2.
Sorry. I think I'm having issues with the
Oh, the line started go. That's bad.
Okay. Sorry. I think I'm having issues with some connection. So I hope there are no more questions.
Please.
Yes.
Please, did you say there will be short answers?
Yes.
That one we find it difficult to.
That's why we are bringing it.
Yeah, Mr. Pong.
That is why we are bringing it.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Consider our age.
With the essay type questions, how many questions and how many of them are we supposed to answer?
But most of the questions are in the tutorials. So we can't give you the tutorial questions and say that no, there should be most of the questions will come from the tutorial question. For that, it's something, you are also teachers. You do that. So I will use most of the questions will come from the tutorial questions, and maybe there are sample questions, and maybe for example you are looking at the epithelium tissue. You also have to look at the other side. because sometimes you also want to vary the question. It's not like we will bring exactly verbatim. That one is not fair. But you are rest assured the tutorial questions, most of the questions will come from it.
That's for the semester, right?
Oh, the quiz 1, your quiz 2, the exams, most of the questions will come from that tutorial question. So maybe more than 60%. But the other percentage, we have to also put in a mechanism so that we'll separate, the men from the boys.
I see that. Please, those having the tutorial questions, kindly repost them, please.
Yes. For
Sir,
the
please.
tutorial questions, we get the majority of them coming. The quiz, it comes from the tutorial questions. So we encourage you to read. Okay. Then
Sir,
you can
please,
also set your own questions. Yes.
okay. So because you amended the slide, the third type of what's the name?
Okay. I will send it.
So yes, so
I said, we don't have it now. The
You
plant
said
issue. Sir,
yes.
the slides for the plant tissue.
Yes.
Are we going to get them today or tomorrow?
It was even said before the lectures.
It has been sent, but he just added or modified it or amended a portion, so seem to resend the whole.
I would.
I'm talking about the plant tissue. The plant tissue slides. For that one,
you get it. You get it.
Thank you, sir.
You get
the rest,
it.
they are available.
Yes. Nowadays, we are trying not to procrastinate because immediately we close the lecture, something else will come up, then you forget it. So I would send it. I'm sending it now. I will add today's day to it so that at least you'll be able to differentiate from the others, the first one. So
hello, Doc.
Yes.
Please, pertaining to the topics.
Okay.
In all, we did 8.
Yes, 8 topics.
Yeah, for my end, it seems I'm having 7. So please, can you go over so that I get the other one?
Oh, do you have the cell as a basic unit?
Yes, please.
Light microscope?
Yes, please.
Histological processing?
Yes, please.
The epithelial tissue?
Yes, sir.
Connective tissue?
Yes, please.
Muscle tissue?
Yes.
Nervous tissue?
Okay, thanks.
Plant tissue?
Yeah, it was the nervous tissue that I was not having.
Okay. Yeah,
Thanks
so I think you also requested that we should send you the outline. So let me also share the outline. Yeah, sorry, we couldn't do practical. Yeah, I know at least how to use a microscope could have been a practical, but as of now, we haven't made any arrangement. Okay, so we are unable to do that. Okay, so I will let Madam Becky, for the sake, so that because she has been the correspondence, I'll give it to her so that she help us to share.
Sir, with regards to the subjective, the semester, how many questions are we expecting over here?
Well, okay, for me, I always try to find a way so that when you get one wrong, it wouldn't be like you've lost 1 mark. So it should be more than 60 marks. The questions will be more than 60 marks. So I think the end of semester, this is what we did. we did the MCQs. Then we came to the subjective. I think that was compulsory. Then we came to the essay. Essay, I think there was also one common question. Then the other two, you choose between one. You choose one of them. So you may answer all questions except one. That has been the norm.
Wow.
Oh, but you have the questions. So that's the whole thing. You have the questions.
Doc,
Yes.
we only have the tutorial questions they kept on the main platform, but past questions like that, we haven't seen how it
Yes,
looks like.
we haven't
No,
at
but if we
all.
give you past questions, then at the end of the day, you see, when you have the past questions, it means that the facilitator will have to always work out new questions. But this, for example, what the last year, let me tell you what we did the last year, was 20 MCQs. Then you provide concise answers to that's a subjective. Then we come to section C. So you answer 2 questions. There are 3 questions. Then you answer 2. Okay, you don't have access to the past questions.
Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Hey, how come? Then it's good. I think would have saved us a lot of wahala. But most of them will come from the tutorial questions. That's I assure you.
Yeah.
So you have the past questions. The tutorial questions is enough. I want to compare what we gave you. I want to look at where we gave you. Yes, I think it's enough. It's enough. If there is any addition, there is a need to add any document, I'll communicate. But
that's it. The tutorial questions are short answer test and then kind of objectives. But we are looking at the section C,
the essay.
the essay question.
Oh, but we added some essay questions, or
Oh, okay. Then I haven't taken a closer look at it.
Then Mr. James, the tutorial questions I have, we don't have the one that you provide the concise answer. They are just
short
objective and essay. Yes, please.
And so they will create the short answer test from the objectives. That is how I understand it.
Doc, or is there another one like that?
Please, I think Doc has given us enough. Please just let him rest. Dang.
Don't want to separate the men from the women.
Doc said almost everything will come from the tutorial questions. So what else do we want again?
Don't
Awesome.
say, I want to separate the men from the women. The boys from the men. The boys from the men.
At least we studied the tutorial question. You have already 60%. That's what he said. So you just go and add some small one, then you cross your 80% bank.
Boss. Tutorial question. No one sending here the CDT.
The platform is why.
Okay. Can cancel and get tutorial question.
I assure you, more of them will come. Many of the questions will come from tutorial questions. So, yeah. Okay, please. I think I'm not consistent. My network is worrying me, and maybe I'll have to end the class. Okay. If you, I'm on the page. So if you have a question, you can channel it through Madam Becky. it will get to me if you have a concern. Okay, I'm also on the page, so I will see. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for your attention. Okay.
Thank you, doctor.
Okay. Right.
Bye.
Brother Isaac.
Hey, Sekash. Ruth. 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 Ruth in your. Yeah.
Yellow.
Yeah. Were you able to record it in?
No,
Oh, Charlie.
I had
This
network
time.
challenge.
Oh, okay. Charlie, that thing be too much. Oh.
Which one?
The whole program. It'll be too much.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking that this semester, this blog will be cool, but it seems this blog too.
It is what you asked for that they are giving you. You quote this at their own place and you sent yourself. So don't say
You
it's too
send
much.
yourself that be the thing. But it's interesting, Mom. We have really refreshed our mind.
Just like it is time. The time to go to school, come back to prepare lesson notes, to teach. You are tired and all those things. But if you have the time to sit down and read, you won't find it anything difficult.
It has not been easy. Childbearing, taking care of children, this. Charlie, this one's.
You can see during the class, somebody was saying that no, Fankwansa Chrono.
Especially our mothers in our midst. And yes, small.
And some others too. While especially the guys too. I don't know whether the girlfriends or they are this woman friend or the this ladies friends. At lectures they don't want to allow them. They will be all over their neck and all those things, disturbing them.
Okay, so Charlie, we will meet.
Oh, don't worry, don't worry. God willing. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله كنت من الظالمين فاستعيذ بالله من الشيطان.
Hello, please, has the lecture ended?
Long time.
Charity.
Yes,
That's the deal.
he said,
This is Eddie.
yes, I know.
We are. It seems he's around the moment. He say any concern, we should raise it.
Ah, okay. Thank
So
you.
if you have any concern, you can raise it.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Welcome.